Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Soo Jin Park, and I am your last presenter for this session. Today, I will be talking about the NDC assignment to drugs. In this presentation, I will talk about the assignment of NDCs to drugs. We will learn a bit about the history of NDC and provide NDC change requirements and restrictions. As it's been discussed in prior presentations by David and Layla, NDC is an identifier unique to each drug that is assigned to drugs in U.S. commercial distribution. It's in our medicine cabinets at home or behind the counter at your local pharmacy. The assignment of NDC to drugs can impact public health in a number of ways, and it is one of the most important aspects of drug listing. Before I move into how NDCs are assigned, a quick recap of what NDC is. The NDC is currently 10 digits and consists of 3 segments, as you all know: labeler code, product code, and package code. I'd like to emphasize that once an NDC is assigned to a drug, it cannot be reused, even after the listed drug is discontinued. However, if a discontinued drug resumes marketing without any changes made to the previously listed drug, the previously assigned NDC should be used. When a registrant or its authorized agent first submits a drug listing, they can propose an NDC for that drug. If that NDC has not already been used, FDA will assign the proposed NDC to that drug. FDA's assignment of an NDC is based on an automatic validation and does not reflect whether it is appropriate for the drug being listed. Therefore, a drug listing file should not be submitted for products such as dietary supplement, medical food, or medical devices, and they may be deemed misbranded if such product use an NDC. For most of us working in healthcare setting, pharmaceutical supply chain, or insurance companies, we make use of NDCs every day, but very few know the history of their development. In 1969, the NDC was created to provide an identification system to permit automated processing of drug data by government agencies, industries, hospitals, and insurance companies. It was a voluntary identifier until 1972, under the Drug Listing Act, which required a registered drug establishment to provide FDA with a current list of all drugs it manufactures for commercial distribution in the U.S. Then enacted in 1996, implemented in 2000, under the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, or HIPAA, NDC for the first time was reported in an 11-digit format instead of 10. U.S. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, some other government agencies and healthcare systems reformat NDCs to 11-digit under HIPAA by adding a leading zero to short segments to create a 542 format. Since June 2009, establishment registration and drug listing data are submitted electronically to FDA in structured product labeling, or SPL format. Drugs are then identified and listed with FDA using the NDCs. In 2016, FDA published a final rule to modify, clarify various regulations for establishment registration and drug listing information. The final rule included changes to NDC assignment and format, the standard for which when NDCs are required, and clarification of misbranding provisions if NDCs are used improperly. So when do we require changes to the assigned NDC? The NDC must propose a new and unique NDC for a drug when there is a change to any of the information identified in 207.35 B or C. The new NDC must include a different product code when there is a change in drug's established name or proprietary name, if any, a change in active ingredient or strength, a change in dosage form, drug status, drug's intended use, or any changes to the drug's distinguishing characteristics. With respect to the package code, Different package sizes and types for a drug cannot share the same package code under the same labeler code and product code. For example, if a drug is packaged in different container materials such as glass or plastic containers, different package codes should be used to distinguish the different container types. Under the old regulations, NDCs were allowed to be reused after a listed drug was discontinued for 5 years. That changed with the provision made to the codified and after the effective date of 2016 final rule. NDCs can no longer be reused after a product discontinuation. However, as I shared earlier, if a previously discontinued drug becomes commercially available or marketed, the same NDC should be assigned. It is important to remember that the assignment of an NDC does not denote approval of the drug, nor does it mean that the drug may be legally marketed. Any representation that creates the impression that a drug is approved or is legally marketable because it appears in our database of drugs, has been assigned or displayed in NDC is misleading and constitutes misbranding. FDA strongly encourages inclusion of the NDC in a human-readable format on the container label and carton labeling of the prescription and non-prescription drug for proper identification of the drug and to reduce the risk of medication error. For human prescription drugs, the house supply, storage, and handling section of the package insert must include the NDCs. FDA recommends that NDCs for the unit package sizes are made available. Also, for OTC drugs, FDA strongly encourages inclusion of the appropriate NDC on the container label and carton labeling. If a manufacturer, repacker, or PLD chooses to include the NDC should be displayed in the FDA-assigned 3-segmented human-readable format. For drugs that are subject to FDA review and approval under a NDA, BLA, ANDA, or other associated supplements, verification of NDC assignment is not typically part of the review and approval process. The NDCs that appear in approval labeling may not have been assigned by FDA because NDCs are only assigned once the drug listing file has been accepted after approval of the application or supplement. To remediate any issues, the registrant or its authorized agent can reserve an NDC before drug approval and label printing. If you need any assistance or have any questions related to NDCs, please reach out to the email address provided here. For the purposes of drug listing, co-packaged products are considered kits. And it is any CDER or CBER-led single package of 2 or more different products co-packaged together where at least one of the co-packaged products is a drug or biological products. If a kit is subject to drug listing requirements under Part 207, then the proposed NDC for the kit should be different than the NDC proposed to any of the individual drugs or biological products included in the kit. This means that the NDC product code for the kit should be different from the NDC product code or codes for each drug or biological product co-packaged within the kit. In addition, any non-drug parts should be identified as part of the kit's drug listing, but an NDC for such non-drug should not be included. A multi-level package includes different levels of packaging for one drug. For example, a carton containing a blister pack of solid oral dosage form or a carton containing multiple vials of an injectable drug. Since the package code segment of the NDC identifies a unique package size and type, you should assign a different package code to each level of packaging. For example, if 10 identical vials of an injectable drug are placed in a carton for U.S. commercial distribution, and 5 of the cartons are then placed into a case for shipping purposes, FDA expects a different package code to be assigned to the vials and carton, and no NDC should be assigned to the shipping case. Okay, now we are moving into a couple of challenge questions to wrap up my presentation. Okay, challenge question number 1. Which of the following can be assigned an NDC? OTC drug, medical device, human prescription drug, dietary supplement, or A and C? The answer is E, A, and C. Number 2. NDC proposed to the co-packaged product should be different than NDC proposed for each drug part. The answer is A, that is true. In summary, NDC assignment is a separate process from the drug approval process. NDC assignment process starts with the registrant proposing an NDC for a drug at the time of drug listing submission, and FDA assigns the proposed NDC. Printing NDC in a human-readable format on drug container label is strongly encouraged. And regardless of an NDC inclusion on a drug label or not, all drugs that must be listed with FDA must be assigned an NDC. Concludes my presentation on the NDC assignment to drugs. Thank you all for attending, and we will take some questions during our last Q&A session. Thank you.